Do you take action on your dreams or do you not? Because if you don't, it's not necessarily a lack of discipline, as you would like to believe, but rather a host of symptoms I would like to discuss today. And I can, like, if that's you, if you feel like you have these big dreams and you're not really sure what to do with them, or you're thinking about them, you're planning, you're you're spending a lot of time with them, but you're not really acting on them. I want you to know you're not alone, because that really used to be me. like for years, really, I used to think about writing, for example, because I'm a creative writer. I used to think about writing. I used to think about making YouTube videos. I used to think about helping people with their creativity, but I really wouldn't take action on it. And as I mentioned, it wasn't really because I lacked discipline. I'm a very disciplined person, actually. I was a full-time student. I was working as a student's assistant. Later, I was working as a researcher at university and teaching students. So it wasn't like I was a person who necessarily struggled with acting, but I think I really struggled with acting on my biggest dreams and my biggest desires. And so if that's you, as I said, I want you to know you're not alone with this. And what's important to understand is that if you're feeling stuck right now or kind of directionless, and you feel like you have to get better into a better place before you can act on your dreams or your goals, or before you can really take action on your passion project, that's actually kind of like the reverse is true. It's not that you need to be in a better state to start, but it's that you get into a better state by starting, right? So if you're feeling kind of stuck or directionless or just drifting through your day, and the best you can really get is like being okay with where you are, not really enjoying it, then that's not a sign that it's time to put off your passion projects or your dreams or whatever, but that it's actually the perfect time to act on them. And I know that because I'm in recovery from chronic illness. So about at this point, almost 1.5 years ago, my nervous system collapsed, and I had to quit my PhD. I couldn't work. I was basically homebound for a year, and that was a really terrible time for my mental health and for just for everything in my life, right? And so during that time, I struggled a lot with a lot of health issues, and I really wasn't creating. I wasn't writing. I wasn't making YouTube videos. I wasn't doing anything, and I felt so hopeless. Like, it was really the worst time in my life. And so about 6 months in, I would say, is when I first started inklings again of creative writing. I started getting interested again in a story I had started writing before my nervous system collapse. And in hindsight, I can say that was the first sign of my healing, because this creative spark, like this life force that I had essentially been robbed of due to my illness, was returning and was showing itself, expressing itself through this creative urge. And so I started following that urge, and I've talked about that before in other videos on this channel, how I just started essentially dating my project, right? Just making time every day to spend with it, not necessarily focusing on producing anything, but just doing. And that gave me so much self-esteem, right? Like this, I was still struggling a lot, like I still had a lot of issues, but in this very dark time, that actually gave me something to look forward to, because every single day I knew that if I get up today, I get to spend time with this. And so I went from kind of this just drifting through my daily life to having these glimpses of hope and of joy in my daily life, which if that's something you're missing, then it might be because you're not taking action on what it really is that would light you up. And I get it, because it's hard, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the video. But I just wanted to preface. I wanted to say in the beginning of this that, as I said, if you're not feeling good about your project, or if you're not feeling good about yourself, that's not necessarily a sign that it's time to put it off. but it is rather a sign that it is time to take action now. Because there's really a huge difference in thinking about your project, planning it and trying, planning it, just dreaming about it, versus actually making concrete steps towards it in your physical world. And I know that because I am an overthinker. As I mentioned, I used to dream about doing this, for example, for years. And I remember years ago I was watching advice on creative writing, and it was a video by this writer who said, like plotting your book, mapping out your character arcs, whatever you're doing, it's not writing. It's not bad, but it's not writing. And that's really stuck with me because I realized that I was trying to replace writing with all these like writing adjacent activities, which I do love, right? For my book right now, I really do love plotting. I do love thinking about the characters. I love listening to my playlist and dreaming about the book, but it's like I also love writing. It's like, I don't know, you have a preference for chocolate ice cream, and then you're eating every kind of ice cream under the sun except for ice cream, except for chocolate ice cream. Like it's still ice cream, but it's not chocolate ice cream, right? That's what you love. And yeah, so taking action is kind of a vital step, and not just in being productive or whatever, but actually in building self-esteem about your project, because that might actually be, maybe this is symptom one, right? Maybe or not symptom, but maybe this is like root cause one, is that you are not feeling confident about what you're doing about your project. And confidence is not something that you can have before you start, because confidence is something you gain by doing something. Right? Like I'm confident in my ability to walk because I've been walking for, I'm 29 now, so I don't know, I guess 27 years. And so it is something I've been doing daily for a long time, so I can be confident in it. However, for example, if I had broken my leg and I had to have some kind of physical rehabilitation or whatever it's called, and I couldn't walk for a while, then would probably not be confident in it because I didn't get to practice it in a while. Then I would have to regain that confidence. And it's the same thing with creativity, because like I used to wait all the time, oh, like one day when I'm confident about it, I'm going to record videos. But that day is never going to come because it is awkward to sit down and record a video. It is awkward to sit down and record a live stream when no one is watching except yourself. And it is awkward if you haven't practiced it to express yourself. But that confidence will never come from not doing it. It's like trying to learn swimming by reading about how to swim. I'm pretty sure you can do that for 10 years, but it's not going to hold up to actually learning how to swim by trying to swim and failing and trying again and failing again and trying, and eventually gaining some skill that you can build on. And by practicing it every day, you become confident in it. So yeah, root cause one for why you are not taking action might be that you are waiting for confidence to arrive when actually you have to take action. When actually you have to take action before you are confident, and that is where the confidence will come from. Actually, didn't even write that one down, so let me write that one down. Okay, stuck directionless. Yes. Another root cause for why you might not be taking action on your passion project is that. Let me just see. Order good. Sorry. Another root cause for why you might not be taking action on your passion project is that you might actually be stuck in a nervous system freeze or flight response. So I talk about the nervous system on so many videos, so I'm not going to go into it now. But essentially, if you've had a lot of trauma in your life, like I did, then your nervous system might not be able to properly toggle between all the 4 responses it is supposed to be able to toggle between when you are in danger. So those would be fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. But as I said, if you've had a lot of trauma in your life, depending on the trauma itself and how you as a person reacted to it, you might be stuck in one of these or 2 of these responses, really. And if that is the flight response, then you might be like I used to be, that you're always like doing a million things. You've got like a lot of things going, but you're not really making progress on what it is you actually want. Like you're kind of avoiding it through your overbooked schedule, through all like the million things you've got going on, and then at the end of the day you are exhausted and you didn't get to what you really wanted to. So that might be if you're stuck in the flight response. But if you're stuck in the freeze response, so that was me during the last 1.5 years, is that you have, like when animals are cornered or when humans are cornered and we feel that we cannot escape the situation, we freeze, right? Like we make ourselves as small as possible in hopes that that will help us survive whatever it is we're trying to escape. And if that is not resolved, then you kind of become stuck in this permanent state of making yourself smaller, not taking action. And if I think about how the freeze response manifested for me, because as I said, I used to be primarily in my flight response, and then the last year I really got stuck on my freeze response. It is just like you're just in like this prison, like your body is like this prison, and even if you think so hard about something, you just cannot bring yourself to do it, because the thought of doing it just sends you into this fear for your life. So if that is the case, either that you're stuck in the flight or the freeze response, then there's really some nervous system healing that could help you. And ironically, actually working on your passion project could help you with that. Like at least that's what helped for me, right? Because I was so stuck in this freeze response, I don't know, like I couldn't even go to the grocery store without having an anxiety attack and a migraine and having to rest for like a week. And engaging again with my book, by taking this daily action, by getting confidence in what I was doing, I kind of got used to moving again. Because, for example, if you're like really, for example, if like me, you have complex PTSD and you're stuck in an emotional flashback, which basically means that your mind is going back to a moment of trauma, and your body doesn't know that it's not back there, so it's trying to, like it triggers like whatever your primary responses are. If that's the case, then and you're stuck in like freeze, then the recommendation, for example, would be to get your body out of freeze, to really start with like these teensy tiny movements. Like, for example, you're stuck in your bed, so then you would move your fingers, or you would move your toes, and that would really, would slowly send the signal to your brain, to your nervous system, that you are safe. And so you would kind of, like very gently try to toggle out of that. And you can do that also with like this extended freeze response by just, as I said, spending time with your project every day, not even having an outcome that you're trying to achieve in the beginning. And I did make a video about that in the past, but just getting comfortable with it again. Maybe writing, down a few notes. If like with me, it's a book. Like, like taking a few notes. Like, what are you looking forward to? What are ideas you have? And slowly over time, as you are like, moving your fingers and your toes, so to speak, you will gain confidence, and you will expand your capacity for what you're able to hold for your project will expand, and you will do more. Okay, so that was that was symptom, not symptom, it was root cause 2 of why you might not be taking action on your project, namely that your nervous system might be stuck in a flight or freeze response. And this is a huge topic, which is why I'm moving on now. Okay, reason 3 why you might not be taking action on your passion project might be that you have a lot of limiting beliefs about yourself and your ability to do what you want to do. And so a limiting belief is just, it's basically a belief that you have adopted from your family, from your culture, from society, I don't know, from being a human being, basically, that you apply to yourself, that limits you in any way, and that is not like the laws of physics, right? For example, it's not a limiting belief to believe that I can't fly, because like human beings do not have the ability to fly. No human being in the history of humanity has ever had that ability. So that is not really a limiting belief. That's just like believing in physics. But What is a limiting belief is, for example, okay, I don't know, I can't write a book. Okay, why? There are human beings on this planet who have written a book. Okay, so then I might be like, okay, I can't. Yes, that's true for them, but I can't write a book because I'm a woman. Okay, there are women who have written books. There are women who have written books when women couldn't even go to university, when women weren't really even allowed to have education. There were women who wrote and published books when women weren't allowed to do that. So that is a limiting belief, and so on and so on, right? So if you have and this is really good journaling exercise. So whatever it is you're working on, ask yourself and write this down. Like, why am I not doing this? Like, what do I think is stopping me? And that might be, I can't do this because I don't have the level of education required for this. For example, for me, I really struggled with this about making videos about creativity and nervous system and stuff, because I was like, oh, but I don't really have like a certification in this. I'm not like a doctor. I'm not a therapist. Like, I literally I studied Eastern European history, so I'm not like a mental health professional, and so I can't really do this. And then I thought about it, like, okay, yeah, obviously, you should be honest, like, about what your qualifications are. But also, is it true that only people who are mental health professionals, who are doctors, can speak about topics like nervous system healing or trauma recovery or creativity? Well, no, that's not true, because a lot of people who have actually helped me recover from all the things that happened to me and who have helped me become creative, they are not mental health professionals. So, and I have had interactions with mental health professionals that actually did not help me, but that actually caused me harm. Okay, so the limiting belief that you do have to be, or that I have to be like a mental health professional to be allowed to talk about this, is obviously not true, because it doesn't apply to everybody on this planet. And yeah, as I said, so you can have like limiting beliefs about who you have to be allowed to do what you want to do, or you could also have limiting beliefs about your abilities. Again, with the YouTube videos, I might be thinking, oh, but I don't I can't be talking about creativity because I've had so many issues with my creativity. Well, that's actually not that's a limiting belief, and that's actually something you can flip around, because maybe exactly because I've had so many struggles really being consistently creative in my life, because I had so many trauma responses to it, because I had like so much doubt. Maybe that is exactly what qualifies me, because that allows me to speak to people who have not been supported uh, for their creative abilities, who feel that they are not qualified to do what they want to do. So that is actually a limiting belief I could flip around. So as I said, depending on what you are working on, this could be so many things. So you know take this as an opportunity to journal. Again, ask yourself, like, what do I think uh, is stopping me from doing what I do? Like, what about myself is stopping me from doing this? And then ask yourself, is this true? Like, is this true for every single being on the planet? And if it's not, then it's probably a limiting belief. And like, I understand that this can be complex, because there are societal, we're not like existing in a vacuum. Like, there are societal pressures on us, but that doesn't really have to stop you. For example, my situation right now on paper doesn't exactly look good. And I'm sorry if there's background noise. I'm sitting outside. I hope you can still hear me. So my situation on paper right now isn't exactly great, because, as I said, I did have serious health issues. I had a nervous system collapse that caused me to have to quit my PhD, quit my academic career. So right now I'm unemployed. I'm still recovering from chronic illness. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do in a few months. And yeah, that's, combined with some other stuff in my life. So you could really look at that and be like, oh my God, this is like, not not the time to create. But I would argue, going back to that point I made about being stuck and directionless, that creating is actually what will get me out of this situation, because creating is what gives me confidence. It's what gives me joy and peace in my life. And therefore, that is what it will empower me to take the action steps I need to take to, get out of this unemployment situation. Oh, I'm gonna take a sip. If there's any questions or comments so far, please write them in the chat. And there's a delay, that's why I'm waiting for a moment. Let me just check the chat here. Okay. No comments so far or question. That's fine. You can also, if you're watching this in the replay, you can leave your comments and questions down below, and I will get to them either with a comment or actually with a video. So yes, we talked about reasons you might not be taking action on your project, which is I talked about nervous system, freeze, flight. I talked about limiting beliefs, and I talked about lacking confidence. Okay, so the next one actually connects well to lacking confidence and limiting beliefs, because you might actually be outsourcing your validation. You connected to the like when we lack confidence in something, we often try to outsource that confidence from somewhere else, which means that we try to get everybody to get on board with our plans and our dreams. And in my honest opinion, that is literally the worst thing you could do. Because most people are not doing this work. Most people are not thinking about what's going on in their head and trying to disidentify from it. And most people are not aware of their nervous system responses. Most people have a very, very narrow set of what they believe is possible for them and for people in general, like a very narrow set of beliefs. And that is normal, that is human, right? But that means that whenever you're trying to do something that is out of the comfort zone of people you are talking to, they won't know what to do with it. And basically what they will do is they will throw their own limiting beliefs onto you. And that doesn't have to be malicious, but it's certainly not helpful. And I'm trying to think of an example to illustrate this. So if, for example, I work out a lot, working out is very important to me, and I've been working out consistently for 10 years. And consistently, when you're struggling with chronic illness is kind of a different thing, but basically I like it and I work out a lot. And so I was talking to someone about this and trying to, because it frustrates me a lot when I can't work out even though I want to, because I'm battling a migraine or something. And so I was talking to someone and about this, and they said, and I think this is a very good example because this is someone very dear to me, someone who I believe was trying to protect me, right? So not everybody who throws the limiting beliefs on you is trying to be malicious. They genuinely think they are protecting you, helping you. So this person told me, but when basically I was explaining some of my goals, and they were saying, oh, but with chronic migraines, that's not really possible. And I really, like I said, look, thank you. I understand that you are trying to be helpful to me, but it is not helpful to me when you tell me that the dreams I have are something I cannot achieve because of a condition I cannot change. Right? And as I said, that person was not trying to be malicious. They were trying to protect me. And because they believe that it is not possible to do that with my condition, that the best thing they can do to protect me is to tell me not to do it, to not attempt it. And that is what so many of us creatives struggle with, because we live in a world that is not really supportive of creative ambitions. And I would say that there are also, so some people grow up in environments that are more supportive of their creative ambitions. But for example, I'm from an immigrant working class family. The fact that I like to write, my mother thought it was cute. She didn't think it's a career option, right? I will say nobody ever tried to actually discourage me from it. Nobody ever said, oh no, you can't be a writer, because the very idea of being a writer is so ridiculous, it's not even worth discussing. right? Like that's the environment I grew up in. Not out of maliciousness, but because the people who surrounded me were having to make very difficult decisions every single day to support me, to support other people in the family. So as I said, they like took their limiting beliefs and tried to put them on me. And that kind of sucks, especially when you're a child. Obviously, you want validation for your and dreams, but also as adults, like if we have not healed these parts of ourselves, these child parts that want validation, we will look for that in other people, and that is when that like will get crushed because now you don't only have your own limiting beliefs, but now you also have somebody else's limiting beliefs, and you have your lack of confidence because you're not doing the thing. So I would really discourage you from, like, if you have this urge to, I don't know, I have this, for example, I for a long time it's actually been my dream of helping people with this, of you know consulting people on getting their creative projects off the ground. And I was really conscious this time to not to discuss this with only one person in my life, one person who I know is 100% like on my side, and a person who has actually had some has experience in being like an online entrepreneur, who has experience in having a business, and who knows that it is possible. So I only discussed that with that person, and that was super helpful because that person could actually, validate me. I was conscious of my need for validation, right? So they could encourage me, but I wasn't like putting all my hopes of encouragement on that person. And also, I did not discuss it with people who do not have any experience in that, who do not believe it is possible. Because of course, like if I don't know, if I went to someone who doesn't have any idea about this and said, "Oh, I'm planning to do this thing," then of course they're gonna say, like, "How? Why?" And that is really not what you need when you are just starting out with something. Like when you're just starting out with something, as I said, you need to first gain confidence by taking these small steps, by questioning what's going on in my mind. And that's another point. Like if you're constantly running to other people to validate you, to tell you what to do, then you're not taking the time to actually investigate what's going on in my mind. You know what? You can't even find out your own limiting beliefs if you're constantly running to other people to soothe them. Like you have to spend time with yourself. You have to, and that's a process. Like you might, if you've never done this before, you might not get through it in one afternoon, and that's okay because that's being human. Being human is growing. Being human is struggling sometimes, and then taking that struggle, alchemizing it, and then building from that. Okay, so that was, I guess, point five. Like that you're outsourcing. You one, let's say five. Reason five, you might be stuck and not taking action on your project. Might be that you are outsourcing your validation, and I'm trying to think of the actionable thing to do because I'm tired of just telling you to do the thing. Gain confidence in it. But oh my god, like everybody in my neighborhood is doing garden work right now. um, so mm, I guess like really what I would say is that you do need to learn to validate yourself, and validating yourself is really comes through healing these wounded parts, right? Comes through healing these parts of you that approval, and I'll get into that one too. That you need someone else's approval and that you need someone else's permission to do what you want, right? Like we're so raised to do what is reasonable. I've always told myself, oh, I'm such a reasonable person. I'm doing what's reasonable. And recently, I've realized that being reasonable is really just code for just doing what everybody else has told you to do. And I don't know about you, but not everybody else around me is living the exact life I want to live. So why would I listen to them? Right? Like it's like I only want to take directions from people who are where I want to be. So if they're not there, then thank you for the advice, but it's not what I have to follow. Yeah, so you're trying to validate yourself by being with yourself in these moments when you are feeling insecure and when your urge is to go to somebody else to like, here are my problems, please please alchemize them for me. Like nobody else can do that. You have to learn how to do that yourself, and like, it's an annoying responsibility, but it's also an opportunity because mm, it helps you to lead yourself more. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Sorry, my neighbors are so like loud right now. I can't read my next point. Like my handwriting is so atrocious. Oh, okay. You, reason six, you might not be taking action on your goals is that you might be comfortable with where you are. And being comfortable with where you are doesn't mean that you like where you are. It just means that, oh my God, I just noticed. Like, I really hope you can actually hear me. Oh my God. Um, being comfortable with where you are, it doesn't mean that you like where you are, right? Because what's the saying? The devil you know is better than the one you don't, or something. Um, that, and this comes back to nervous system, right? Like we have really evolved to prefer environments, people, circumstances we know rather than those we don't. And it doesn't matter if your circumstances are horrendous. Like if that's the only thing you've ever known, then that's your comfort zone, right? Like that's really what comfort zone means. It means that you like even if you're stuck in a prison cell, basically the prison cell is still better than whatever might be outside, because your brain will project every single possible problem or oh my God, see, this is a perfect example. My brain is doing that right now. Like right now, because I noticed that, oh my God, there's like these green little dots. Like, what's going on? Does it mean the connection isn't working? Does it mean my mic isn't working? Does it mean, that I've been talking to myself for 30 minutes and nothing's been recording, whatever. So now my brain is trying to like project every single problem that could be possibly occurring because it's trying to protect me, right? Your brain is a problem finding machine. It's not a problem solving machine, it's a problem finding machine. So whatever your circumstances are right now, you already know them. Like you're familiar with the problems there. But whatever is ahead of you, for example, writing that book or starting that YouTube channel or starting that podcast or that business or whatever, like if you've never done that before, your brain doesn't know what to do with that. So because it can't even conceptualize what problems are ahead, it's just going to conceptualize complete doom, essentially. Like whenever I'm doing anything new, it's like, oh my God, I can't do it because I guess I'm just going to die. Like literally, like it's like I have this intense sense of dread and fear and whatever going on, which is so ridiculous. Like for example, before starting this live stream, I had this spontaneous idea. I was going to do this live stream. And before starting it, I could feel that feeling coming out, like, oh my God, but what's going to happen? Like, no one's going to watch it in the moment because I announced it like 10 minutes before and I have like around 100 subscribers and everybody's probably asleep because I'm in Europe and most of them are probably not. So that's what's going to happen. It's like going to be awkward maybe, but I'm not going to die, So like I really had to kind of like pull myself back, and I can do that because I do have experience with this, but it was not always like that. Like I said, I used to be very, very caught up in my flight and my trauma responses. So this is another thing that's really only cured by doing it. Like you can't become comfortable with the new circumstances until you're actually trying them. Like just like you can't become confident in something without trying it. So if you do, how do I say this? Like you just have to get used to being afraid, basically. You have to get used to being uncomfortable. And I know that sucks because personally for me, as I mentioned, I do have complex PTSD. So complex PTSD really means that you are living in this constant lack of safety. Like you constantly feel at risk in the world. People feel dangerous. Circumstances feel dangerous. Like basically every single moment you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fall off a cliff. Like that is what the experience of living in a body with complex PTSD is like. And so for a few years, like ever since learning I have complex PTSD, my goal was basically, okay, so if I have this constant feeling of being unsafe, the goal is to never feel unsafe again. So my plan was to build this completely safe, predictable life where I control every single factor, and then I'm gonna feel safe, and then I'm not, and like everything's gonna be right, all right. And first of all, that didn't work out, and it's not gonna work out. Like for me, it was okay getting sick, and some other stuff happening, but like that's just not how life is. Like basically what I was doing, I was trying to outsource my sense of safety to external circumstances. Just like when you're trying to outsource your sense of security by trying to validate yourself through others. So I was trying to source my safety from these external circumstances, as I said. And that means that the moment circumstances changed, I was really like, it was a problem for me because I had put so much of my sense of safety onto the outside that when that fell away, I was just like in this abyss, basically. And so what I've been learning now is that safety really is an illusion, right? Like on the one hand, safety comes from an internal sense of safety, and becoming knowing that you are on your own side and that you are betting on yourself, that is safety. But also, to a certain extent, you have to become comfortable with not being safe, because the truth is, like, there's so many circumstances I can't control. Like literally, like, how am I gonna control that the sun is gonna come out tomorrow? Like, I just expect it to, but what if it doesn't? Then it's then it's gonna be a problem, and I can't control that. So like I can't wait until I'm safe to begin living my life, because then I will never be living my life, and in contrast, I will be only continuing this loop of trying to create safety through outer circumstances. And so, if you to bring that back to the if you're not taking action on your project or your dreams, you like, it sucks, it's unfair, but it's just that's reality. That you have to become familiar with a certain lack of safety, with a certain amount of fear. And the good part about this is that most people can't. Like, most people are very caught up in their own fear and in their survival responses, and that's not, like, that's understandable, that's human, but that means that so many people are not actually following what they want. So when you do follow what you want, you're automatically like an outlier. And that's actually a perfect segue to the next section, so I will do that now. Another root cause for why you might not be taking action on your passion project might be that you have a fear of being judged. And maybe I can just do that all, like, fear of being judged, fear of failure, fear of being humiliated, anything along those lines. And this is another, like, comes back to another human fear. One I'm very, very familiar with. Because first of all, again, I'm a human, then I'm a woman, so whenever you're a woman, you basically can't do nothing right, because whatever you do, it's going to piss somebody off. Then I'm also from as I said, an immigrant family from southern Kazakhstan, actually. So my family is Slavic, and this is back to maybe the limiting beliefs, because I'm pretty sure people all around the world have a lot of opinions, but this is my story. And I don't know, like, if you're familiar with Slavic people, then you know that privacy, or like your own business, isn't really your business, right? Like, it's your mother's business, and it's her cousin's business, and it's like your great aunt's business who held you once when you were like 2 months old, whatever. And so I grew up with this in this environment, and as not judging anybody, again, like, I think it's just human nature, but I grew up like in this environment where there was a lot of talk about what people were doing, what they were doing, what they weren't doing, mostly what they were doing wrong. And so I grew up like in this, like, knowing, okay, like, there are certain things you're not supposed to do. Like, you're not supposed to fall out of line, you're not supposed to fail at something, which basically means you're not supposed to try anything, because if you're trying anything, you're gonna fail at some point. You're not supposed to How do I say this? Basically, you're not supposed to stand out, right? You're just gonna supposed to do what you've been told, because that's what everybody else was told, and you're supposed to follow that. And if that makes you unhappy, well, that's just life. So, whenever you're trying to break out of that mold, and it can be scary, right? It can be scary because as human beings, we are herd animals. Like, we have evolved to live in tribes, and that means that basically you have this very primal fear of being kicked out of the tribe, because being kicked out of the tribe means that you will die, right? At least to your brain it does. That's not the case anymore, right? Like, we have very different social structures now. We have very different social security now, depending obviously on where you live. But if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that you do have more social security than human hunter-gatherer used to have. And so that fear of judgment is kind of mm, it's kind of keeping us trapped, right? And I'm trying not to speak too judgmentally about it, because again, it is just something that is a survival mechanism. It's something that's trying to protect us, but it's no longer really useful in the way it evolved. And as I said, fear of failure, fear of humiliation, all goes into that, because really, what do you care if you fail if nobody's gonna watch you? You know how they always say, dance like nobody's watching. Like, really ask yourself, like, if you tried whatever it is you're doing or you're not doing right now, if you tried whatever it is you're trying to do and you failed, and nobody ever learned about it ever, like, would you really care that much? And there might be, like, some self-worth issues there. If I failed, it means that I'm this or that, and I do understand that, because I used to be like that too. But, like, be honest with yourself, right? um Ooh, hi Naomi. Hi, so nice to see you. Wow, I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, so excited to see you. Okay, I was talking about the fear of judgment. So, all right, if you were afraid of, like, if nobody ever saw you fail, like, would it really be that terrible? Like, probably not as terrible as you imagine right now that it would be. And as I said, like, this fear of standing out, again, in my case, coming from, like, my Slavic immigrant background, but really it's just like being human, right? Like, you can, and that's why it's good I talked about limiting beliefs earlier, because if I were really, like, stuck in this paradigm, right, I could be telling myself the story, oh, I can't start my YouTube channel because then some family members will see it and they'll judge me, and I don't know, I'll die. It's just like, they might, but who cares? Like, but they might not, because actually I do have a lot of family members who are supportive people, and who would think it's cool what I'm doing. And even if they don't care, like, am I really gonna make my future dependent, like, make my dreams dependent on whatever somebody else might do or might not do? Like, that's just ridiculous when you think about it. But again, then, like, it's ridiculous when you really understand how the human brain works. But if you're stuck in that fear response, then that is really all you can think about. Somebody judging you is the worst thing on the planet, because it means you are in danger. So that is maybe another journal prompt for you that you could reflect on. Yeah, if nobody saw me fail, what would I do? And also, if nobody saw me succeed, what would I do? Because so often it's not just, like, fear of failure that stops us from doing what we're doing, but it's also fear of success. And this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but so often we're kind of afraid of what actually succeeding in what we want would bring with it. And that goes back to the fear of standing out and fear of not being judged. Because let's be real, people can be jealous. People can be jealous, people can be hateful, people can be envious of people who succeed, especially if you're succeeding in something that a lot of people want. Like, for example, you have a successful, like, loving marriage, or you're, like, really successful in your own business, so you don't have to work a 9 to 5, or you're really successful, you're really successful in your writing and you publish a book that everybody loves. Like people can be jealous of that, and there can be a lot of fear attached to it, to finding out, okay, who is really on my side and who isn't. And funnily enough, that is something I experienced, and it's something I struggled with, but I didn't really put it together. And I don't know if that's, it's because of my autism that I don't really like just years later I put together like the stories or whatever. But so I definitely feel that fear of success. I feel that fear of giving my all to, for example, this YouTube channel, because I'm afraid of what will happen if I really do put myself out there. If people really connect to my thoughts, like will that be misconstrued? Will people think that I'm doing something, again, like that I'm not qualified to speak about that, what I mentioned right at the beginning? Or will people feel that I'm stepping out of line too much? And and I have a story about that, because it really illustrates how ridiculous, like how it doesn't matter. Because when I was writing my bachelor's thesis, so I had this person who was, and mind you, like really university person, right? Read my bachelor's thesis and make a comment along the lines of, oh, you can tell that it's easy for you to write. So that might be the reason why you're not willing to really do the research you should do. Which was like a very weird comment, I didn't really put it together, but basically, it was criticism, and obviously constructive criticism needs to be possible, especially in a university environment. But it was also not, and so I talked to people about that, and they told me, yeah, she was jealous. Like, she's jealous, you're a student and you write very good texts, and and it was so insane to me, because actually the person who got people got really offended on my behalf, which was funny, because I was kind of hurt, but I wasn't, as I said, I didn't really put it together. And the person who got most offended on my behalf was my Ukrainian teacher, who said, basically what I've told you. Like, she said, yeah, but that comment makes it sound as if that it was all just luck, as if it's just luck that you write good text. But it's not luck, because you're from a family where German, I went to university in Germany, where German isn't even the first language. And that is true. Like, I was born here and I grew up here, but the first language in my family is actually Russian. So I didn't grow up, I grew up speaking German in school, obviously. My German is way better than my Russian, my first language. But it wasn't like I was just born into a family of German academics and that's how I learned to write German academia texts. No, it's something I really had to learn. And so something I was successful at, obviously. And that brought on this comment of like weird jealousy or projection or whatever. And that is not to shame that person or whatever, but it's to point out that people can project their own insecurities onto you when you are successful at what you do. And that is scary, but you can survive it. As I said, I didn't even put together that comment. Until people pointed out to me, and I'm glad they did, because it helped me to not internalize that. It helped me to not be ashamed of something that should actually be praised, because that's something I've been praised for a lot in my life, that I write good texts, and I believe it's because I enjoy writing. Right? I enjoy writing, so I do it a lot, so I get better, which brings us, back to the first point of you gain confidence in something by actually doing it. And I think like the last point really I'm trying to make here is that probably that's the summary of everything. If you're struggling to take action on your passion project or your dreams or whatever, then you're likely like me, in that you're trying to figure it all out perfectly before you even start. And you're trying to figure it all out perfectly because you're trying to protect yourself from everything I just mentioned, from a million things I didn't mention, from things only you know. And the truth is, you can't protect yourself from everything. As I said, who says if the sun is going to rise tomorrow? you can protect yourself from certain things by keeping yourself small. Like if I don't post this video, then nobody can make a stupid comment. But is it really protecting myself? Like, am I really protecting myself by telling myself, oh, potentially somebody being stupid is you worth keeping yourself small? Like, that's not protecting myself. That's just punishing myself. And that's punishing myself for something that hasn't even happened yet. It's one thing to punish yourself when somebody actually says something stupid to you. It's still self-hating, but at least something actually happened. But if nothing has happened yet, and I'm still keeping myself small, that just it's not. It's just not logical. Like, I'm sorry to say it like that, and I know it feels so easy to say it, but as I said, I do live it. I do live with so much fear. Like, I wish there was something people understood about living with complex PTSD, is that your entire life experience is one of fear and living with fear every day. So as I said, you just can't figure it all out ahead, and not the technical problems, not the inner problems, because so often what we're really afraid of is literally just the emotions we're going to have in response to something happening. And the good part is that you can actually work with your emotions. Like, whatever comes up in your body, like, it's just a sensation. It can't actually hurt you, and you can work with it, and you can transmute it, and then you can take that energy and actually do something with it. So yeah, I know it's hard. I know it can be hard. I know it can be difficult, especially when you're just starting out. And the longer you've been waiting to do something, the more difficult it can feel, because then even more limiting beliefs have the time to accumulate. Even more fear and doubt can just compound. And at the end, like, you're sitting there and just completely frozen in fear. As I said, you're stuck in the freeze response, and you don't know what to do. You are just, even if you know what the next step should be, you don't know how to take action on it, or you've already overcomplicated your project so much that you don't know what to do. And if that's something you want help with, as I mentioned, I am starting to take one-on-one clients for creative counseling, is what I'm saying. And in the counseling session, I would really like to, go through what is it you're trying to create, what has been blocking you so far, and we can figure that out together. And then make an action plan, make a system. Because like, the common advice of, just be more disciplined, just like, that's the issue in maybe 2% of cases, I would think. And often it's much more complex things that are going on, maybe like the way your life is structured, or maybe the limiting beliefs in your way. So in the session together, we can look at that. And as I said, we can make a realistic plan for your actual life. And yeah, if that's something you're interested in, click the link below. Or if you have any issues, you can find my email address on the booking page, and on the sales page, there's like a Google Doc, and then we can discuss that. And I am doing since this is a new offer, I'm doing a limited time, what's it called? Limited time pricing, limited time special pricing for 111. And yeah, since you would be like a founding member, I would definitely give you a discount on whatever I offer next. So yeah, but either way, I really hope this was useful to you. My name is Zhenya, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.